And we're live. Does your AI agent compile ways to be energy flow positive? When we're talking about being energy flow positive, it's being able to connect one thing to another thing, which is biohacking AI website, Duck9, to UiPath, which is at 3100, where we're substituting people power and energy with pre-written code that we prompt. Bullet points, getting into it, that's the groundwork, which is this. Do you see how instead of pressuring each other to be better at prompting, we have an AI agent ask you to ask better questions? Meaning the priming functionality, the preview functionality of artificial intelligence gets us to connect our questions, which are of a certain quality, improving those questions iteratively via an Asian intelligent AI agent that took math class before math class, that attended biohacking before the biohacking conference. A specific example, so that way you can get a free vacation or a free work trip, is what are they going to teach inside of AI Startup School June 15 and June 16, 5 miles away from school? Because us asking the question, how do we get the knowledge and the return on investment before $0 goes out? Because $0 are required, a little bit of energy and attention are what help us win. Where are we getting this attention and energy from? Well, it's free over on Google Gemini. It's free on Grok 3. It's free literally everywhere. That's why we can go to a work conference for free using AI protocol, apply for a press pass. This is why websites are the driver of your personal path to become slightly better. Websites are the personal journal for our journey in using AI. Websites are the building in public as we fix our brain to be better at business. Let's say that we have no experience with AI. Let's say that we have no foundation even in barely using a computer. Let's say you're re-entering the workforce and you're a single mom. Let's say you're a business executive and you're like, yeah, this Larry Chang guy is content that I need to check out. Lewis, what's up? How are you? What we're able to accomplish via the meme concept of build in public is HODL AI, is hold AI as a co-pilot. Roxy, how are you? It's good to see you. What we're addressing here is how can we use AI agents to become slightly more efficient as a co-pilot, as a co-worker, as a support team, dare I say, entourage of people that you don't join, entourage as in your running point. Oh, but Larry, I don't want to have a point. Oh, Larry, I don't want to lead. Well, you're the leader of You Incorporated, whether you want to or not. You're not going to feel imposter complex. Why? Because we are on a path. We're jumping in front row. You'll see.
And I want to present the UiPath community, like maybe some of you already know about it, but there are so many things that happen in the UiPath community that every time you get to hear something new. Who knows about UiPath? Like outsiders, hey, they are organized by event today. You knew about UiPath before coming here and before registering. So some hands. Good. You are part? Do you feel part of the UiPath community? Yes, no? Don't be shy. Okay, I will ask again at the end of the session, so let's hope we'll see many hands in the air that you do feel part of the community. What we can tell you is that there are already 3 million people, professionals and learners, who joined our programs and who grow into, they were growing a lot into RPA, then they started just to grow into automation, and now as you can see, it's a lot about agentic automation. Which is also a good time for new people who have no idea about the UiPath community maybe, or have no idea about RPA, to join, to start and consider growing their careers, getting new jobs into agentic automation. The field is just getting created, so that means that there is a lot of space to have innovative ideas, to make as many mistakes as you want, because it's that safe space, still that safe space, when things get shaped, when the industry gets shaped. So feel free to join as much as possible. How we invite you to fail and how we invite you to succeed is through the community. So in the community, first of all, you have access to using the UiPath platform, so you can try the functionalities of our platform. Then there are more than 40 developer events every month. So that means that you can't find a reason not to join at least one in a month. Like, there can't be that many reasons. Most of them are virtual, so it's more like a time zone flexibility. Some of them in person, like the one we have today. Hackathons as well. I will also share about one hackathon that we're hosting right now, this month. Outside these developer events, through which you get the chance to connect with developers, engineers, product colleagues from UiPath, you can also go further into creating and consuming content. And the value of community is that we also encourage creation of content, and you get to be spotlighted on the community blog or on the YouTube of the UiPath community. So there are many ways in which you can show your work. So you can show, or you can just learn from others, how they are doing it, tutorials, demos, quite a lot of activity coming from the community or from our colleagues or engineers who present different ways of using the technology, with the good, with the bad, with how they find it. For all the contributions, then there is this part where we get recognized. And we recognize them as MVPs, so people from the community, they are being recognized as most valuable professionals, or automation champions, or different leaders of the community, or forum moderators, so different ways in which we say, for your contribution in the community, we want you to be well known further by others, and you get that spotlight. And we do have some MVPs with us today, so if you want to show yourself. So we do have some MVPs, like you can ask them about the UiPath community, not just the polished things that we say representing UiPath. They can say it with full honesty and how they experience UiPath and the community. There is a lot of learning happening, and for that we have the academy and certification. So a lot of information about that, depending on what you need to know and what you want to learn further. And also quite a lot of support on the forum. So on the forum you can find find answers to some of your questions, or you can help others with your examples. It's quite a known forum. We have millions of page views every month. Like everybody comes there and they try to find their answers quite fast. So this through this QR code you can go further into the community hub and have access to all the things that I presented here. This is the hub, like what I was mentioning, community.uipath.com with these events. So there are different chapters, local chapters that you can join. You will find out about new events happening, quite an easy way of registering, and then you just enjoy the content together with the others. This is the forum, as I mentioned. So on the forum, answers, questions, and also use cases. Like there is a dedicated repository from where you can see examples of how others are using the technology. And the academy. So these are some of the main hubs. There are a few others and many other programs. But for you to have a good start and to have the good foundation into trying UiPath and exploring it and having all the resources with you, these are the main platforms that can support you. And as I mentioned, we do have a hackathon happening right now, the Agent Hack, bringing all the novelty in our UiPath platform. What is nice with this hackathon? One thing, the prizes, that's what we heard from others. Another thing that is quite nice in this hackathon, once you register with your idea, and you can register as an individual or you can register as a team of maximum 4 people, you get access to a dedicated tenant. So imagine like a sandbox where you can play with all the functionalities. And there is a lot of support from our colleagues in product and engineering that will be there hand-holding you almost, like if you need anything in using the platform. So this is a good way to learn, try and explore the use of the technology. I will be around today. Please make sure you ask all your questions, and if you have ideas to share with us how you see yourself growing into agentic automation, how you see the field growing, again, we are around, other colleagues are around, and we are really happy to connect with you. Because you know now about the UiPath community, now it's time to connect to the outside world, as I was saying, to the social digital world, and I will invite my colleague Eliza to share more about this.
Hi everyone, hi, this is Eliza. And together with my colleague Yuri, she's also here around, we are handling everything from a social perspective. So whenever you see a comment, a like, a reshare, anything coming from UiPath or UiPath community, it's us. It's not a bot, it's us. We are behind everything that is happening. And today, I actually probably am gonna have the least technical part, like the next 1 minute, or 1 minute and a half probably. If I'm fast enough, I might get even closer to that. So what I want is to just hope that you will be having fun and also posting about it on social. And if you are doing it, please make sure that you include the UiPath DevConnect hashtag so that we can see it and reshare and make sure that everybody sees that you're here. And also tag us across all the channels. Here it's a lot of text. We don't need to focus on what to do on the rest of the channels. And also the agentic automation hashtag so that you have a lot of visibility on your post and make the most out of it. You're going to also get this slide, so you will see all this information. And because I was telling you I'm the least technical person in this room, this is where you can actually find us. This is the LinkedIn UiPath community. This is the place where we post a lot of content, whether we're talking about product announcements, whether we're talking about spotlighting people from the community, whether we're talking about memes and jokes. This is the place where you can actually get everything in one place. So we do encourage you to follow us, and probably you're going to be spotlighted at some point here as well as part of the wrap-up for this event. So in case you want to see yourself, this is the place. And also, one last thing from my side. We really want your help because we want to grow a community of content creators, a community of people that are sharing the love for agentic automation. If you are following some people, and probably you are following people, YouTubers, technical guys that are talking about about Agentic, are talking about the topics that you're interested in, please scan this QR code and let us know your, let's just say the guys that you're following so that we can get in touch with them, we can connect with them, and see what kind of partnerships we can do together so that we make sure that the agentic automation content is across everywhere. And with that, my 2 minutes of glory without any technical content is over, and I'm passing it over to Zach to talk about, go back to technical stuff again. Thank you, and probably we'll see you around and try to get you on social. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you all. Before Zach gets started, I want to flash up a QR code for our Slido. So throughout his presentation, please submit questions to him, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll go ahead and go through them and answer them.
Okay, great. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Feeling energized now? Karina got you going, right? All right, cool. We'll plug in my computer in just a sec. So, for everyone, thank you all for flying in and participating today. I'm local to Austin, so I got hit. Anyone else local to Austin? A lot. Good. All right. Go Horns, right? All right, cool. Yeah, so I got hit with that storm last night, so very grateful for everybody to make it out. I'm sure people are dealing with a lot of debris and kind of fallout from that, so we're very grateful. Today I'll go through, I have a bunch of content on slides that I'll kind of take y'all through. I have a couple of brief demos to kind of like help get the juices flowing, get the ideas going for the sessions that we'll host, post my session. And then I'll do a quick, overview of roadmap where we're going. But I will have a few kind of key takeaways that we'll discuss just a moment here. So, yeah, and please, any questions that y'all have will be super helpful. And we'll send any of our content, I assume, post the session in case I go too quickly on some of these slides. Sound good? All right, awesome. All right, cool. On the screen. See all my telemetry. There we go. Okay. Cool. Everyone can see this okay? All right, right on. Okay, so I want to give for everybody who doesn't know UiPath, I want to give kind of a just brief overview of like our mission, where we started, where we're going, right? That's the kind of like narrative for us to take away from today's section. So UiPath, our mission, as we kind of set out back in 2018, we're still a startup, was to help make enterprises more efficient, right? To help shift the cap table from common, high-volume, repeatable tasks that drive a lot of OpEx expenditures towards CapEx, right? Help businesses become more efficient, allow you to focus more on the strategic aspects that make your business unique, right? But ultimately remove also a lot of the kind of challenges that go into common back-office tasks that are error-prone, involve a lot of human, time and effort and cost, right? And ultimately kind of help you use technology to help improve that. It started back in 2018 with very common, basic UI-based tasks that we looked at computer screens to identify where are there opportunities for improvements as it pertains to very common things that happen in the back office. But our story has not been married to just UI automation. It's not just been married to task-based automation, right? It's been one of constant evolution because we recognize tasks are only part of the equation, right? And so as we kind of look ahead, our goal here is to support end-to-end business orchestration and automation. That started with us introducing new API-based automation, and then it's constantly been evolving for us to embed net new technology to support new use cases, improving existing ones. That started with common, linear regression, logistic regression-based ML models. We've introduced GenAI as part of our platform, and now as we look ahead, agents are kind of the key next phase for us as we look right? But as part of this, underpinning all of our kind of core technology and our platform is this concept of these three core entities working together, right? Humans to help design, build, right, validate these automations, robots to tackle these high volume, deterministic, rule-based tasks, and now agents to handle non-deterministic, highly volatile, right, complex reasoning involved tasks that a robot couldn't do just with a simple .NET framework, right? And so our platform, right, is meant to support these kind of three entities working together, right, to drive enterprise-based automation, right, sitting on top of our trusted cloud layer, right? And we work from, you know, again, like our core platform was built upon task-based automations, and we provide all the low-level granular tools that you need to get those tasks automated, but the kind of end goal is being able to stitch these together to support an end-to-end business process. So our platform is built on this concept of starting small and building out so that you can see true ROI in augmenting existing business processes that you have lots of humans involved with, lots of errors, right? And ultimately allow you to shift the focus from these common error-prone, OpEx-driven, you know, tasks to now how can we shift our attention to the future, right? And so again, our premise, right, is to be able to empower humans to work in tandem with robots that are these rule-based, you know, deterministic. I have a set of tasks in front of me. I need to go from point A to point B to now agents which can think and use LLMs to reason, right? And use LLMs also to take action, right? Make function calls to access all of the tools that we have at UiPath to ultimately support, right, a net new flavor of agentic automation, right? And so our kind of core, you know, value prop that we push out there, right, is this concept of robots are really good at doing. You give them a task, right, you set a bunch of rules in front of them, right, they can accomplish these things. Agents have a new set of, you know, ways to think and reason and leverage LLMs, and a net new, you know, now multimodal-based LLMs, right, to not just tackle, you know, text-based objects, but images, right, and audio, and all of these new media that are involved in true end-to-end business processes. So our goal here, right, is to empower these three entities to work together in tandem to support this end-to-end business process automation, right? And our goal is not just to do and create any sort of agents, but enterprise agents, right? We'll talk about what that really means in a second. But you may wonder, right, like why UiPath, right? What sets us apart? Why are we now thinking about agentic automation, right? How do we transform ourselves from, you know, an RPA-based platform into the modern stack to support, again, what people are now expecting and seeing from these ChatGPT LLM-based applications to solve more complex business problems, right? And our platform and our premise and our value prop and our mission, right, again, is based on these kind of concepts of not just being able to stitch together these three core entities, but to ensure that now this new character, this new player in the mix, agents, right? They're enterprise-grade agents built on our trusted cloud, but they invoke a nature of controlled agency. We'll talk about that in a second. What we really mean by that is being able to define narrowly tasked or narrowly scoped agents, right, that are able to produce true business value in tandem with these other entities. And they're built on and leverage, right, not just our existing, you know, cloud layer, right, which has all the enterprise level security, trust, you know, and governance that our customers and partners expect, but they can leverage, like, an agent is only as good as its tools, right? At the end of the day, what you ask an agent to do is you set forward a set of instructions, you give it some tools to go use, and you say go forth and conquer, right? Our goal is to leverage, you know, the best-in-class automation tooling that we have at UiPath to support these agents, right? We have, obviously, you know, this concept of not just building agents that tackle tasks independently, but are in support of these end-to-end orchestrated business processes that you ultimately are what you're looking at to derive value, see cost savings, right, and then ultimately transform your existing business processes. We offer both a pro-code now and low-code set of options to build agents. That means that while we have our proprietary UiPath Agent Builder experience that we'll talk through in a lot of details here today, you now have the option to, and we recognize and support, people building agents in code, people building in Python, people building in LangChain, people building in LangGraph, right? That's great, do it. Bring it to UiPath, we'll make those agents better, and we'll help you drive value from them as a deployment stack with our automations, with our agents, right? We want to support the notion of us being the platform that can drive automation from all of these great entities that are out there in the market, right? And so our strategy and our go forward as we look ahead, right, is built on these kind of 4 core pillars. One is enterprise-grade agents, right? Agents that you are trustworthy, they're measured, they can be scored, they're built on all the kind of core governance and platform-level security that everyone expects these days in the enterprise, right? And they have these controls in place to ensure that they're not touching high-risk, applications without some sort of checks and balances in place, right? We support this concept of agentic orchestration, not just automation, but orchestration, right? And what that means is being able to, again, look at an entire business process, identify opportunities where a human is well suited for a task, a robot is well suited for a task or a series of tasks, and then most importantly, now how agents, right, can help augment that further, right, and support, again, this concept of, I need to look at an existing business process and make it better. I need to make it more efficient. I need to save, costs, right? I need to save time. So our goal is, as I keep mentioning, right, we have an awesome agent builder product. We're very proud of that. But our mission as we look ahead, right, is to support end-to-end business processes and take advantage of all the great assets that you guys are building out there, right? Bring them into our platform, and we'll help orchestrate that together. All of this is built on, again, a number of our best-in-class automation tools that agents now can use, right? And again, this kind of concept of a trusted cloud. So when you think about
What was that last part?
our trusted cloud. Yeah. So our governance, the AI trust layer, all the kind of core concepts that underpin, do you feel confident knowing that the traffic that is going to and from LLMs to support these business processes is encrypted, has the right security, right? Ultimately has, again, the necessary auditability and monitoring, right, in place to support that. And as we look ahead, right, our kind of, as we think about our enterprise agents, I talked about this concept of controlled agency, right? We also have this idea of like bending the curve, right? Bending the curve from just a toy-based agent into a true enterprise agent. And there's multiple attributes that we introduce as part of our platform, as part of our product design, right, to make sure that these agents that we're building with UiPath Agent Builder can be trusted, can be confidently deployed into production environments that are touching high-risk applications. That starts from, obviously, our ability to provide a number of models for you guys to use, and now bring your own model as an option, right? So if you have your own proprietary LLM that you'd like to bring to use with agents, we have an option for you to do that now, right? Because we want to ensure that, different agents based on the different models that they're using, right, have different performance, have different trajectories, and so there's different options that you can choose from to help improve, validate, or ultimately use as part of this agent design. We offer both prompt auto-tuning and dynamic evaluations to score your agents, right? So as you're building your agents, and we'll show this in the demo in just a little bit, right? We provide a number of tools implicit to the product to help make sure that, one, it's easier and faster to build, right? With recommendations from across the board from a number of attributes of the agent definition, to then being able to score your agent, right? Its output, right? To understand, like, is my agent operating in a reliable manner, right? And that comes from an output-based evaluation, that comes from a trajectory-based evaluation, and over time, while we have an offline design time-based evaluation experience too, that also means looking at how we can improve that for online runtime-based scoring as well. So these are kind of core elements in the product design that we believe are true implicit needs to help our users, one, build agents more efficiently, but build them in a secure manner that they can then feel confident in the product. A number of this is, again, underpinned by not just like our ability to ensure that we offer a number of great tools for you to use, right? Workflows as tools, we'll talk about this in a second, but this concept of having a deterministic set of flows that an agent can invoke, right, to get from point A to point B, to execute tasks such as document extraction, right? Where you have a highly volatile set of tasks, right? But a robot is really great at doing so using tools like our IDP products, our IXP products, right, to extract relevant information from documents and pass them to then be analyzed, say, by agents, right? We have high-quality context grounding to provide a RAG as a service to make sure all your LLMs are grounded in your business proprietary data. And then, of course, humans are implicit both to the agent design inner loop, as we call it, as well as the outer loop, meaning humans can be invoked to help agents like check their work, so to speak, but they can also be used to validate work post-agent execution, right? So we offer both of those options in the agent design to help support that. Again, broader mission here is to help orchestrate, right, end-to-end business processes using the combination of these three entities. I'm going to go a little bit quickly through some of these slides just because I want to make sure we're on time. But I think you guys kind of get the mission, right, where we're going with all of this, right, how we string this together, right? We offer a number of net new great tools, right? Building on our existing IDP suite, we're now introducing intelligent extraction processing, which is effectively a combination of our two great products, document understanding and communications mining, to support much more complex, longer documents for which you need to extract multiple different fields with a lot of different attributes in there. We now offer as well this concept of UiPath Data Fabric to stitch together data entities in support of being able to query them effectively as part of workflows and agents automations, right? This allows you to build, common data models that can be referenced, right, as part of agent runs, as part of robot runs, right, to ensure, again, all of the business proprietary data that's important to support your end-to-end business automation is easily accessible. We have now API workflows. Our man, he over there, is our product guy. Go talk to him about this. This is a great new product that we're introducing. It's in private preview right now, but controlled GA very soon. Regular GA very soon. This is an exciting net new opportunity for us to look at existing automations as well, right? Improve them to make them snappier, much more enterprise grade in the security that's provided through API-based authentication, right? And ultimately allow us to think through the next level of automation, next level of stack, right? And then finally, UiPath is traditionally a Windows-based software. So we have this UiPath Studio, which is a desktop application that you can use to build all of these automations. We are now working on a Mac OS automation layer, right, that allows you to build and use Macs, which is great because I don't have a Windows machine. So I'm sure a lot of folks now also in the enterprise are also looking at this. So awesome. And then finally, one other quick thing. So as our core concept here, right, was building on UI-based tasks and automations, we now have an agent to help with that, right? So we now are introducing in the preview state this concept of UI agents and self-healing agents, which one can look at screens, basically help you navigate through things like web search-based tasks, right, to extract relevant information from multiple different applications, right, and then self-healing agents, right, which can help look at existing logs, identify opportunities for improvement, right, and then ultimately recommend that as part of the existing runtime. Okay, cool. Little demo there. Shout out to all of our customers and agents we had, our partners that helped us over the last few months. Agent Builder is now in GA. We wouldn't have gotten here without all of your guys' feedback, from everybody who's helped us throughout the way. We have a number of great customers who are already in production. We're very excited to kind of see their ongoing evaluation and evolution. So cool. So let me dive into and kind of give a quick overview of what is, agentic orchestration. This concept again of like being able to orchestrate an end-to-end process, humans, robots, and agents to help solve complex tasks, right? And again, the idea being shift the paradigm away from OpEx-based expenditures and common high-volume error-prone things towards becoming more efficient. UiPath provides this great net new tool called UiPath Maestro, which is now also generally available to allow you to model in BPMN your end-to-end business process and then orchestrate that using all of the great entities that we have at UiPath. We make it super easy for you to get started from scratch, import things like a Lucid diagram, and help you build on what is already existing documented business processes and translate those into automations that then you can execute at high volume using UiPath. And we offer like a number of tools in Maestro to help support, right, this kind of concept of being able to model and map and ultimately execute that. It comes from a BPMN notation style modeling canvas through which then you can integrate and implement not just UiPath agents, but external agents, robots, and humans, right, as part of this end-to-end task flow. You then ultimately can operate this, right, so you can monitor and kind of see how, this end-to-end process now improves and measure against existing processes, But then two, also we provide an end-to-end visibility both through UiPath Orchestrator and our robust set of logs, so that even if you are modeling and mapping and using Maestro to help your process become more efficient, there are also tools implicit to Maestro which help continue to calibrate, continue to measure, continue to help you optimize these end-to-end business processes, right? And then ultimately, right, we look at how we can string this together, right, provide a consistent experience for you as you're looking at this process to kind of calculate and determine the ROI that you derive from spending time on modeling this and ultimately implementing this end-to-end business automation. And so again, we offer this great modeling experience implicit to the product, right? It allows you to use common BPMN or business process modeling notation, right? To map out all the entities in your end-to-end business process, right? Quickly implement, right? All of the core entities that are necessary to support that, from robots that are, again, very great at high volume deterministic based tasks to now using not just UiPath agents, but also external agents. That includes Crew AI, LineGraph, Salesforce, you name it, right? And we'll continue to build out support for a number of external agents because we recognize, again, our mission is not to be the sole agent provider for you guys as you're building automations, but a provider, right? Operate, obviously, beyond just the fact that you need to build this, you need a way to ultimately observe, create alerts, right, and operate the end-to-end business process to support, again, the business value that you're trying to derive from now automating this end-to-end business process. So with Maestro, we have this instance management space in which you're able to see, right, how your new agentic automation is processing, what are the trace details that are happening as you continue to operate your end-to-end business process, and allow you from there also, as we'll see in a second, right, to do things like, define alerts and take action and ultimately find opportunities, right, for this thing to not just, operate in an indefinite state, but to continue to get better, right? And so from this kind of operations standpoint, we also offer, again, a number of logs, very detailed, to allow you as operators, as business analysts who are involved in helping to construct the end-to-end business process, understand really what's happening, right? And then ultimately use that to work with developers, citizen developers, who are building all of these entities that go into this end-to-end business process to help make them better, right? We have a number of alerts that we're introducing and KPIs that will also offer like customized dashboards in the future, right? To help you understand, how much is this costing me? How long is this taking? Common questions that you have when you look at an end-to-end business process, right? And then the key thing as we really look ahead is how can we, we want you to build these processes, right? We don't just want them to be stagnant, sit and forget kind of things, right? Because we understand, one, business processes evolve. Two, expectations, once you start automating things, become higher. You have an expectation as you start to see business value for that to expand over time, right? And our intention with the product design, with the kind of core capabilities we're introducing, is to support ongoing evaluation, ongoing calibration, ongoing optimization of these end-to-end business processes to help you extract more value from our product, right? And so we can look at a common example, right, that we've seen in especially the financial services space around loan origination, right? So being able to effectively use and look at an end-to-end process in which a person or business might be applying for a loan. There's a lot of intricate steps that go into this. This simplifies that a lot, right? But it starts from doing things like just understanding what's in the application intake, to sending and extracting a bunch of information to do verification checks on the application information, to ultimately determining if someone should be eligible, as a good candidate for the loan, and then ultimately updating, systems of record, databases with that kind of information, right? And so this kind of set of tasks, right, really looks more something like this, right? We have a number of kind of key elements that go into each of these steps, right? And as you can see here, right, what has been traditionally our UiPath platform is how can we introduce robots to help you take care of some of these tasks that are like lower risk but high volume, right? In terms of our ability to again help you accomplish this end-to-end business process goal, but not introduce more risk. And so there's many things in here that we can introduce through things like our document processing technology to read, extract, and classify information from documents. right? To doing things like querying databases through our various API automations that we have available, right? And throughout all of this, you can see that what is happening in this end-to-end business process is robots are doing things, people are leading the end-to-end process though. And each kind of critical, juxtaposition or crux of this end-to-end business process, the human is involved to help ensure that things are on the right track. And we can augment this further by now thinking about how can we further reduce the burden on humans as part of this end-to-end business process with agents, right? So a lot of the kind of common tasks that you saw there where there is a necessity for classification or implicit interpretation of text or objects that might come through, right? Agents are great at those kind of tasks. And we believe that with our kind of controlled agency, right, we can help support not just you implementing and building these agents, but truly seeing effective business value from the implementation of this. And one thing that kind of quickly look at this is humans are not removed entirely, right? So again, the most important decision criteria in this end-to-end process is, should we approve this loan or not? That still is the human's decision. We believe that that is implicit to all the end-to-end business process agentic automations that we introduce, right, is that humans are ultimately the key decision maker at the end of the day. We provide a number of entities to help support an informed decision, but humans make that decision, right? Cool, all right. So then, so we can look at then how this is modeled, in Maestro, to help support this kind of end-to-end business process automation. This is effectively what that would look like in BPMN notation. And I'll show you guys in a second what that looks like.
Can you repeat that last part that you said?
So this is just how it might look in business process modeling notation. So effectively mapping what you guys just saw is here in terms of the kind of core steps into the actual entities and the representative kind of like flow diagram that goes into supporting this end-to-end business process. So I'll show you guys in a moment just what this really looks like in Maestro. But this is just to give a sense for like really how this looks, because this is just a series of tasks. This is how it all flows together. Okay, so I want to continue to keep pushing here, just given the time crunch. So there's a bunch of good slides here on roadmap that we'll share out so you guys can take a look at where we're going. Right, a couple of quick things that we want to call out. Right, is we want to ultimately make it easier for you to get started, right, and have more flexibility in the build design around this new BPMN notation canvas, right. So that includes being able to do things like import Lucid diagrams, being able to introduce like JavaScript-based notation and expressions as well, right? Because we understand that in our current manifest, right, we have a number of great tools. We have a great way to kind of stitch things together, but there's always opportunities for improvement. So we'll continue to look at, right, how we can ultimately help build things quicker, right, through things like our autopilot-based experiences. But ultimately, the kind of key mission, again, with Maestro, is to figure out how we can help you optimize, find opportunities for improvement over time. So let's then switch quickly into UiPath Agent Builder, which is one of the entities, again, that support this end-to-end business process automation. Agent Builder is our UiPath's tool to provide you the ability to go and create, in a low-code environment, enterprise-grade agents, right? This means that we provide all the necessary things, including instructions, a prompt kind of editing experience, all of the tools that we have available at UiPath for agents to take action, right? Context grounding to make sure that you're grounding all of these LLMs in your business proprietary data, right? And then ultimately a number of scoring techniques implicit to the product, right? To help you validate that your agent is operating in the manner that you'd like, right? And so this kind of constitutes all of the aspects that go into Agent Builder, right? Again, from our tools, right, that we offer out of the box, right, for you to get started, from existing RPA automations that can be invoked from your agent, to now API workflows, to existing agents to support supervisor-based patterns for your agents. But all of these are, while agents are only so good as their tools, we believe, again, we're not just building agents, we're building enterprise-grade agents. So we have this concept of tool guardrails, right, to ensure that like the proper use of tools during design time is well understood by the developer and can be quickly checked and validated or even blocked, right, as it pertains to certain compliance standards or rules that you have in place for, say, high-risk applications that the agent may need to touch, databases that may need to query, things like that. So implicit to our agent design, not only do we give you tools that you can access, but we give you guardrails, right, to ensure the proper use of those tools during the agent execution, right? We give you, help from Autopilot to help you get started, build your agents quickly and effectively using a conversational interface, not just through a low-code entry of here's all of my prompts, what do I need to instruct, all the examples that we need to provide. Autopilot helps you get started. But Autopilot doesn't just do that in terms of prompt editing experience, it also helps you identify, using our resource catalog service, tools that might be implicit or helpful as part of your agent to help them take action. Right? It helps you identify context grounding opportunities, right? It also helps you define a kind of input-output arguments. And one of the most crucial aspects of helping your agent effectively operate, right, in the appropriate manner based on the intent of just a prompt that you can enter in here. And over time, we'll continue to introduce, a natural kind of cursor style. And everybody says vibe coding, we call it autopilot coding, but a conversational style of development, right? That's not just dependent on a single shot, help me build this thing, but truly do things like, I notice this error, help me resolve this. I have a tool here that I don't really like, can you find me something else? Right, so a true kind of conversational design experience. And then on the right here, these are all the kind of core aspects that we believe differentiate us in terms of true enterprise-grade agents. That starts from our scoring, right, to help you get have an objective measure at any point in design time for, is your agent on the right track? This is your agent score. We'll talk about this in just a second. But it's a weighted criteria that looks at 4 core components within your agent definition at any point in design time, right? And provides a set of recommendations that you can action and implicitly take right into your agent, right? So we're not just saying, hey, your agent, it looks good or bad, but here is some opportunities for how you can improve it. And we'll show you in just a second how that looks. But these are kind of the core aspects to what really goes into Agent Builder. Just for conscious of time, getting a little close. I'll talk a little bit about, how, again, we have this concept of an agent is only as good as its tools. Enterprise-grade agents, right, not just need tools, but they need guardrails, right? And that starts from things like, of course, having automation ops policies to dictate who can use agents, which tools they can access, things like that. But also at design time, we recognize that developers and operators have concerns around how this agent might interact with a certain tool based on criteria of input that it might see. So tool guardrails effectively allow a check in place during the agent execution to do things like block certain tool calls, filter them based on certain input criteria it sees, or involve a human, right, to go and check on things. Right? So we believe this is kind of core implicit to the agent to ensure that there's this concept of controlled agency and not just the agent output, but its trajectory and how it operates. Given that again, agents use an LLM to reason. They use these LLMs to come up with plans, so that means they're dynamic, probabilistic. They may not be as deterministic as traditional robots. And in that regard, right, you need some checks and balances in place to make sure agents operating as you expect it. Our agent score, this is what I just mentioned before, but this is our kind of core UiPath proprietary scoring mechanism that we use to look at your agent definition, right, 4 core components, the prompt, which is effectively what people spend the most time on in building an effective agent. I don't know about you guys, but even when I go to ChatGPT, I'll have it make me a prompt before I even interact with another model, right? Prompt tuning is one of the hardest challenges in general LLM interactions. It's even harder when you have to consider how an agent might operate, given that it needs to use tools, it needs to invoke those tools in a certain pattern, and then it also needs to consider criteria of how those tools are being operated during its run, right? So effective prompt tuning, right, and providing guidance around that is a core implicit thing to this agent score, in addition to helping provide recommendations for all the other kind of aspects that go into making your true agent definition, right? And the scoring is based on not just, is built on this concept of, great, I get a score, now what do I do with this? The optimizer is this service that empowers the score, right, for then as a user, you to look at these core criteria and then determine where can I improve this and how can I improve this. And the scoring, our optimizer, I'll show you guys in just a second, provides this inline diffs that allow you to quickly and easily see the difference between what you built versus the recommendation that the agent has in place, right? So you allow you to quickly accept, validate, right, but build your agent more quickly. Great. All right, and then evaluations, there's lots of great evaluations services out there. There's with biases, there's Langsmith, there's Brain Trust, awesome. We have our own, low-code experience for evaluations in design time currently. We're going to look at how we can support the same way that you now can bring external agents into UiPath. We want to support your existing evaluations experience as well. So that means that we'll have new partnerships beyond just with LangChain, but now with LangSmith to support open telemetry so that you can flow your agent logs if they're running in UiPath to your existing observability platform. But we believe we have a great implicit product design with our evaluations experience that allow you to quickly validate your agent output, soon to be doing things like RAG-based evaluations so that you can assess the query, retrieval and precision and answer faithfulness of the context grounding index that you're using. And then of course we'll introduce online and runtime-based evaluations as well. Awesome. All right, so getting a little close on time, I think it'd probably be good to, while we have some great use cases that we can kind of talk through, I think the rest of the team will kind of get to that. The other quick thing I just wanted to highlight with the time here is, while our agent builder is really meant to kind of evangelize a lot of the complex concepts that go into building an effective agent, right? Power, it says citizen developers, really means anybody, right? My mom can build one of these agents, and she doesn't even know how to use her iPhone, right? So like this is like the kind of core idea is we're democratizing this ability to use our platform, our tooling, right, to build these agents to help you solve problems. But we recognize that, beyond, our experience, beyond the fact that this is low code, where you have some, control over what's in the prompt, input arguments, things like that, people want more control. That's where coded agents come into play, right? We recognize that y'all out there are building these in your Python repositories, in LangGraph, things like that. And so coded agents provide, a next level of control, right, that then can be ultimately packaged and deployed into UiPath Orchestrator, right, to then be accessed from Maestro, from our existing automation suite, all of that great stuff, right, so that we can ensure that at the end of the day, again, our mission being orchestrating end-to-end business processes, we can support our low-code agents doing so. We can also allow you guys to bring your agents, right, and help power that over time. Let me show you a quick demo that I think will translate nicely into the rest of the time. So I wanted to show, let's see, hopefully this loads. Oopsies. Okay, so if we look at this, this is this loan origination. If you guys recall those four core kind of steps that we had in place, this is Maestro. This is your BPMN notation of that end-to-end loan origination process now in UiPath Studio Web. So you can come in here, you can define those kind of four core steps that we just talked about before, namely the application intake and validation, right? The data entry and verification of the application, and certain attributes from there, right? The loan eligibility determination, and then ultimately any sort of system and records and updates that might need to take place thereafter, right? So in this process, you'll see that we have not only existing robots like IXP being able to do things like extract relevant information from the bank statements that might be used as part of this loan package, right? To then humans doing verification checks in place. But the other thing you'll notice in here again is we don't just have UiPath agents. We have a LangChain agent. We have a CrewAI agent, right? And we have a Salesforce agent as all parts of the kind of constituent process to help you get from tackling these high volume sets of loan applications that come in to ultimately executing that, determining whether or not these folks are good applicants for the loan that they're applying for, and then ultimately processing that in a high volume, repeatable manner, right? And so we can quickly show, like, if I were to go and build, let's say, one of these agents, right? In this case, we'll look at building one just very quickly to analyze the eligibility of the loan based on extracted information provided from a robot, and then also this verification check that was passed in through a CrewAI agent. So I can come into Studio Web, right? I can create an agent very quickly, right? The first thing that I'll be greeted with is this autopilot experience. And through a simple prompt like this, where I wanted to build an agent, right, as part of a broader agentic process in Maestro, here, this agent will be, give a simple description of tasks. It's a little hard to read. Let me try to zoom in. That's the right? Okay, you can now see, right, this is a very simple prompt, right? There's not much instructions in here. You tell it what's meant for, what are input criteria it might see, right, what's it meant to do. And then autopilot is basically going to interpret this prompt, right, and then allow you to very quickly and easily fill in and ultimately build this agent. So what's happening right now is Autopilot is interpreting all of the aspects of this, right? What is this agent? What is it meant to do? You know, what input, you know, and output criteria should you consider, right? And then ultimately, what are the other attributes that we need, right, to support this kind of agent we want to build? And so Autopilot will say thank you, right? It might ask for some clarifying questions if things aren't clear, right? But what it will do is then allow you to very quickly and easily build your agents. So we can see here, you know, based on that simple prompt that I entered, you know, we can add our input and output arguments. We can update our system and user prompt based on the definition that we just provided to Autopilot, right? And you can review and accept all of these suggestions right in line. And again, an agent's only so good as our tools, but right here we just built a very, very well-structured system and user prompt in 30 seconds without you guys having to enter anything in here, right? And these are our input and output arguments that we've just defined, right? And then very quickly we can also look at how we can add tools, right, that might be applicable based on the prompt. And so here, Autopilot, we asked it to consider the credit history, employment history, and property history, right? We found some tools already available in the UiPath resource catalog to help support that. And so here, we can easily just go and add all of these process tools. These are existing RPA automations that we've deployed and published to our UiPath orchestrator feed. We can add those directly in line to our agent and do the same thing for things like, you know, our context grounding service here, right? So a loan policy, you know, index that might be applicable to help ground the generations. And throughout all of this, you can do things like, of course, structure the properties of things like the queries. You can add very quickly and easily the guardrails to your tools as you need, right, to ensure that you have the right checks in place and business rules for how the tools are being invoked, right? And then ultimately, what you'll see here too, is Autopilot might recommend, you know, to use an escalation as part of the mix, but the key thing as well is, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, we're supporting this concept of evaluations. And so we have this great low-code evaluations experience here, where you can use and build evaluation sets from scratch, import them. We'll have a synthetic eval set generator very soon, right? And then we support out of the box a number of evaluators, right? From LLM as a judge to more deterministic ones like exact match or JSON similarity. As I mentioned, we'll continue to roll this out and expand things to include like trajectory-based evaluators so that you can look at and evaluate the plan of your agent, to RAG-based evaluations to measure your context grounding retrieval, and then of course, given that this is a design time artifact, how do you expand that to now do runtime-based evaluations. So a number of cool new experiences in that regard. And then throughout the course of this, right, we can see and use this agent score to help us get better, right? So based on the definition that we have in place, based on the fact that we don't even have any evaluations, the agent score is going to interpret this based on that weighted scoring criteria, right? And then see, you know, how well are you on track? You have a pretty good prompt, thanks to Autopilot. We have some tools that we've added. We've got a matching input and output schema where we've got new evaluations, so our health score got brought down. Ultimately, as you continue to accept some of these suggestions, right, as you continue to build out your agent, as you continue to add evaluations to it, you can see this health score pop up, right? And throughout this, of course, as there's continued opportunities for improvement, you can do things like accept changes, you know, driven through Autopilot. Ultimately, at the end of the day, right, this helps you build your agent, helps you calibrate your agent, validate your agent, whether or not, you know, it's ready to move to production. Once you are, you know, confident in your agent's ability to operate in an effective manner, you can then quickly publish them and make them available in your orchestrator feed so that you can run them, right, as any other process today, right? And then you can use our instance management experience here, right, to then view, right, all of your agent runtime, kind of observe, you know, what's happening for all of the agent instances that you have available. Oh, I'm sorry. It might just be me. I'm like holding.
The mic is actually bad. She's going to switch it off.
Oh, okay.
Mic check, mic check, check.
Mic check, check. Hello. All right, cool. All right, great. Yeah. So quickly showing, this is just our, you know, agent instance management experience. Can you guys hear me? Is that any better? Okay, cool. All right, great. And then of course, like throughout this, beyond just the ability to kind of see kind of core metrics, this is our kind of trace details of your agent as you execute, right? So you can see all of the spans, you know, all the information that went into that agent execution, right? And then a key thing here that I want y'all to take away with as well is we're now introducing feedback based on the spans, right? So beyond just the kind of scoring and implicit, programmatic capabilities that we have within the agent builder design, we are now introducing human reinforcement learning, right, to both the runtime and then soon to be design time, so that you can help further calibrate the agent based on a perspective of how the human is able to subjectively measure the agent's performance as well, right? So again, the key takeaways from all of this is, we're looking to help support these end-to-end business process, that you need to orchestrate and automate from, a complex set of tasks, right? And leverage the best-in-class tools that we have, from robots to now agents, to external agents to support that, right? And then ultimately allow you in both the circumstance of this end-to-end process to even the entities itself, like the agent, calibrate, monitor, evaluate, and optimize over time, right? So very excited about this. Some of the sessions that you guys will have in just a moment here, sorry I went a little over, are going to dive into this further. We have some great labs that will actually look at this use case example and have you guys build up some awesome agents just like I did very quickly. So thank you all for the time. We'll send out the slides so you can review all that content as well.
Doesn't know what you want to build. You have people who know what they want to build.
Good job. Good job. When you mentioned HUD doing, thanks. When you mentioned HUD doing the API flow, when you mentioned the HUD doing the API flow, is that how? And then when you mentioned Salesforce for the
System record updates.
how does the API flow and how does that integrate? Is that what you're talking about with the Salesforce? Because I was trying to apply.
Got it. So what I was trying to kind of demonstrate there is like throughout any of like part of this business process, right? Effectively, what you can do is like you connect, through an endpoint to like your external agent, right? You can invoke it, but then we can take in set input and output, right? And then use that as part of like this process. So like for the Salesforce agent, right? It's basically taking ultimately the decision, right, from the human to validate, like, hey, was this person a good candidate for this loan? Was this business like a good candidate?
That part I understood.
Yep.
What I didn't understand was when you were bringing in external API. Is that what when you mentioned the product manager hub because you had API flow?
Oh, that's key. Yeah.
Key.
So we have this new product. It's called it's the API workflows.
Okay.
Right. And so what that does is we have this product called integration service.
Okay.
So integration service is effectively like, if you're familiar with like MuleSoft from Salesforce.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our API gateway.
Clara, she heads up Salesforce AI thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so then.
And then, so what API workflows allow you to do is basically, one, it allows you to create these connections to various applications
Okay.
and manage the credentials and authentication, and through connections to those various applications in an API workflow, you can string together a set of tasks for how those applications should be accessed, how they should be processed, parsing of the JSON, like those kind of
That's genius, and I get that. And then, so how robust is because what I'm worried about is when I'm duct taping an API pull, right? Because, so how would you address like, oh, this person's duct taping a trial, integrating it to TrainGenius, to use your example. So then how do you kind of like strap, how do I API into something where I'm just exterior testing as if I'm potentially outside of the company? So Salesforce has got, the typical suite of CRM stuff, using your example. What if I need to audit? What if I need to audit it? What if I need to audit the APIs that they're doing?
Got it. So there's a number of things we have, so we have this, well, obviously, like when you're establishing connections, right, there's some verification checks that happen to taking place to make sure that you have the right permissions. All that.
Sure. The enterprise,
Yeah.
Firebase, it's what Google did for Firebase, where their backend doesn't totally suck and it's somewhat robust. It's like old ML, James Sampling, Amberley, yeah, keep going.
No, yeah. And so part of that, though, is beyond just, okay, I establish my connections, I build this thing, right? We have this whole new set of, like our test cloud, right? It's designed to support a number of what are called test cases, right? To help you validate, right, the agent, like do things like, not the agent, but just the API workflow. So common things like unit testing, integration testing, right? And ultimately kind of seeing too, like in various circumstances that the workflow might encounter, right? How effective are we in, passing JSON from point A to point B? Critical. Yeah, exactly. Right. So all of that is like beyond just the designer kind of canvas. You have these testing capabilities implicit to like what's called Studio Web, which is our canvas.
Okay.
Right, where you can test right all of these like a number of different scenarios. Right.
Is that the self-healing thing that George, the product manager, is doing?
So self-healing then is basically I built a process where I built an agent. Now I've got it deployed and running in UiPath Orchestrator.
Oh, yeah.
So it's generating logs. It's generating basically its traces.
Audit.
You can look at all those logs. And self-healing, what it'll do is it'll say, all right, here are all the logs that you have for this process. Oh yes, thank you.
Have we been mic'd up this whole time? That's funny.
I'm not recording.
No worries. No problem. I mean, it's all.
If I sell it just for picking
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
It's like, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
There was several cases when I was born in Ukraine and some guys, high-level officials, they were discussing how the lady looks good, and there was a mic.
Hot mic. Hot mic.
This lady is called, what we can do with her leg, and some journalist just published it.
Keep going with the self-healing.
Yeah, so self-healing basically is then like, okay, you have all these logs, right? Let's look at like the precision of the like, all the criteria that go into the logs to see if there's any variability in there, right? And then it'll look at like attributes of the logs itself as well, right? So comparing two traces, for example, two logs, say this one took a lot longer than the last one. What happened?
Sure. Because like time spent is resources and energy utilized.
Sure. Yeah. And then what it'll do is say, okay, this one, we noticed that there's some errors happening here in a pretty consistent manner, right? And beyond, instead of just basically saying you need to go redesign the whole thing, self-healing will provide a set of recommendations, right? And even to automations, it's not for agents yet, for automations, change some attributes of the automation to make to help it improve. So self-healing is this really nice way to kind of basically expedite what you normally do in terms of log review and analysis, to then just make implicit changes to those things for you. Obviously, it'll validate kind of the changes based on the design of your agent, self-healing agent, things like that. But it's designed to help kind of like continuously calibrate without you needing to like.
How long have you been at UiPath for?
Get started in about
Are
2
you on the
minutes.
10th floor? Are you local?
Yeah,
2
so I'm
minutes.
actually in Easton also. I've been here.
Before we get started, has everybody got a log into the
You want
automation
to just call
cloud?
my cell phone so that way we can. It's 630.
We
Here.
familiar what that email looks like? Just raise your hand, don't be shy, we'll
Tell
someone
me
in
your number so
front.
that way I double.
I'll
Yeah.
774.
Is that Atlanta?
No, I'm from Massachusetts.
364. The live action business case study. That's me. Yeah. The live action business case study I think would be useful from how do you go from C-level executive to a dabble, not the full suite, but like that's why I was asking about the API integration, so that way you don't have to go like, oh, this is going to mess up your Clarishi AI Salesforce thing because they're trying to Salesforce is trying to like get you on board with their thing. What can I dabble in on an audit that Accenture's doing in this with UiPath it just got really quiet all of a sudden. And I was on blind behind, but where you're literally the same example of you're blind behind. And so now you're using UiPath for a one-call API pull. And I mean, I'm a little lost in your sauce because it's all, not all new to me, but then that's the one-call API pull on a C-level executive that then you could be like, this is the one thing that's a trial that you could have 2 interns from Stanford University. They'll be your, sorry, Microsoft, but they'll be your co-pilot cohort. Is 2 CS majors working for the CFO. And then you have enterprise adoption because I'm guessing you have sales staff that does cold opens for UiPath to try to get an enterprise. Yeah, I'm sure you do. But then C-level executive doing CFO work with 2 Stanford interns with, I have this problem. And it's
Alrighty guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started here in a second.
Anyway, we'll connect. Yeah.
If you could, please try to log into the automation cloud with the link. James is walking around right there. James, wait. He's not gonna wait, he's shy. But please wait if you cannot log in.
Are you at UiPath now, or are you with the production company?
I was hired by organizers.
Oh, nice, nice. It seems like it's well done. Good job. I'm Larry. Dimitri. Good to meet you. Hashtag LFG to catch you up on UiPath and us spending time together within taking PM product manager work within a free event while asking questions and sitting front row entrepreneurship. Is this also Dan Olson? Is this Larry Chang? Yes, it's me, Larry Chang, sitting front row entrepreneurship at an AI conference where Zach Islami, who dropped kind of a ton of knowledge bombs. Is this us using AI to progress forward using $0, but with energy flow positive, time flow positive, being able to pull, being able to DJ together APIs into a workflow via that explosion of content. Can you replicate using your iPhone, even if you just have the one iPhone, or realizing you can DJ together Duck 9, deeply understood knowledge, deeply understood credit knowledge, where we're not intimidated by anything. We're not intimidated by Stanford University while we're keying in on solving problems. Problem. AI agents are not applied to help you. Problem. There's a suite of products that can be confusing for a lot of people. Problem. Distribution is always an issue. Problem. You don't have a website. What we can get better at is chapter to chapter improvement. Are we talking about UiPath while we're talking about lean product playbook? We can. Let's go over chapters 1 through 15 as we conclude. Hey, Dan Olson's book, Applied at the Library, achieves product market fit, chapter 1, which is the lean product, achieving product market fit. Chapter 2, problem space within a solution space. Can we contrast two things, problems to solutions? How many times have you heard me go, hey, maybe we should be solving problems connected to a problem space? Chapter 3, which is determine product targets. That's step 1, determining targets. Number 4, IDing underserved customer needs. Is this crazy how I'm citing chapter 5 after chapter 4, which is identification of customer service needs, which is 5, defining the value proposition of lean product. Number 6, minimum viable product feature set. Is that step number 4? It kind of is. How meta is this? Meta, not Facebook. Minimum viable product feature set. That's us doing a minimum viable product inside of a feature set. Chapter 7, create the MVP prototype. That would be step number 5. 8, that's a great question. Would that be great UX at UiPath? Coincidentally, yes. Chapter 9, testing our MVP with customers. Would that be chapter 9 in step 6? Oh yeah. Guess how I came across trying to memorize that? That would be Dan Olson's book. Chapter 10, create and pivot product market fit. Chapter 10 is a flagship chapter. This YouTube Live is kind of kicking some butt. Lean product case study. Ooh. Chapter 11 is hashtag CHA11J. J is in jump shot. J is in chapter 12. Build hashtag product management using AGI. Now what we're doing is we're at an AI conference with an AI agent building hashtag product management. Are we going to measure key metrics in chapter 13? We can, and we have been. Chapter 13, Measuring Key Metrics. Chapter 14, Using Analytics. Does this culminate into Chapter 15, which is the extrapolated chapter? How much does this cost? It's $0. I'm going to go ahead and press send. So that way we're shipping while we're winning. What should we call this video? Your UI path. Bookended, bookended, bookended,